You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Intelligence After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Intelligence After Show.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
That is nice.
That's not what
I like that. Yes, I do.
This isn't what we were looking for to start the show off with music-wise, but we'll take it. Welcome to, ladies and gentlemen, to the AFTERBUZZ TV Studios Intelligence After Show, Episode 7. Size matters.
Size matters, yes,
because
it does.
No matter what she tells you, size matters. I'm your host, Ryan Hooks, coming at you live from the studio. Joining me today on the panel, as always, we have the lovely, the glassless Miss Yael Tygiel.
Hello, everyone.
The always bearded, never, I got nothing, Mr. Gonsalvez.
What up?
I couldn't even get past the beautiful beard. That's all I can stutter out.
Stuck.
And in the booth today, Mr. Stephen Lemieux.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Dropping in the ones and the twos. That's never gonna get old.
Can we play this like the whole episode? Like, this is dope. I like that.
This background music.
Yeah, it'd be dope.
And then it's
And
Right.
fade to black.
Oh, he came back up. Yes.
awesome.
So, episode 7, Size Matters. I'm gonna have to say right off the bat, this to me has been the best episode to date.
Really?
To me, overall, as an episode, structurally, with content and acting, best episode to date.
Okay.
I will say it has the best characters.
Best character acting, and
I think the best character acting. I don't know about the best episode, but definitely best character acting.
Mei Chin's return is a very, very close second.
Yeah.
That's just because you're like in love with Mei Chin.
Listen, Faye Kingsley is
You know,
gorgeous. and
everybody's in love with Mei Chin.
How can you not be?
I'm not saying I'm
Come on
not.
now.
I am in love with her as well. I'm saying that's the only reason that's your favorite episode.
No, that's not my only favorite.
He can't apparently when he
Faye
lies.
Kingsley, you just. Anyway, episode 7.
She's the truth.
She's the truth.
She's the
That's what it
truth.
is.
That's what it is.
No, so to me, this episode had more for me that I found appealing than any of the other episodes to date, because we got a whole bunch of stuff at Cyber Command in headquarters. We got a great father-son bonding thing. Got to see Nelson doing his thing, telling jokes.
That's why you like it.
got to
Because
see
your boy Nelson.
I got the softer side of Dr. Cassidy.
Yeah. That's why. That's what it is.
Yeah, no,
that's what
for
it is.
sure.
That's what
Is
it
that
is.
how
all
I-
about Nelson.
It is all
It's
about Nelson. That's why he likes it.
Yeah.
Don't judge me.
It's all good.
I don't know. What did you guys think?
It's all good.
I also really like this episode. I don't know if it was my favorite. I can't think of a favorite. I don't know why, but I don't have a favorite yet. But I did really like this episode. There were some things that I wish would have happened differently. But other than
Like what?
we will get there.
Too soon?
Too soon. We'll
Okay.
get there. But I like this episode a lot.
Oh, we'll get there because size matters.
Yes. I think best episode title so far.
Lem, what do you think?
Well, I will say that I did like this episode. Again, I agree with you. I don't know if it's my favorite episode. I do think I do very strong characters, including the Nanites. I think that character was dope as a villain. But I will say that this is probably one of the first times that Mr. Gabriel has struggled some, and there was some challenges, I think, with what he's capable of doing. Not, he wasn't like totally stumped, but there were some challenges that I think he did, and I think he had to rely on his partner a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
And his
she
wit.
came through. Yeah, she came through a lot in this episode. So for that alone, I will say I did like it.
Yeah, there was a lot that this episode gave us that was him struggling again. And he had to use his wit and his intelligence and rely on the people around him to help figure these puzzles out instead
Right.
of just doing the chip thing like he does.
Exactly.
I mean, granted, he did the chip thing several times.
Of course.
And that's
what he does.
That's what he does.
Right.
and
Yeah.
That's fine. But it does. It creates maybe an inner monologue with him that we haven't seen before. It's going to create some turmoil because in the episode he was even compared throughout the episode as like the Frankenstein monster.
Right,
And,
right.
You know, he's this like
He even compared to himself.
Yeah, he did it
Talked about
himself, and-
Yeah, the freak.
yeah, he's the freak, and he
Right.
was calling himself names and kind of getting down on himself and the technology. So it's creating this inner turmoil within him that I don't know. Do you think maybe this could eventually lead to him not wanting to do this anymore?
Oh, that'd be great. Not that I want that to happen. It'd be great to see the drama, the turmoil.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
like
be
the
great.
inner
Comes out
monologue
of
of
that.
him unfolding where he wants the chip removed because
Yeah.
now he doesn't want to know what Riley did on the weekends. As he said in the episode,
Saw that. Yeah. I
He,
saw that.
He wants to find out on Monday morning like everybody else around the water cooler.
I will say that this episode did show him kind of being wary of what he's able to do, wary of his talent or gifts or whatever you want to call it, what he is. As you know, this chip being in his imprinted in his head, he's feeling the effects of that. He's not a normal person, and he was challenged in that.
Yeah.
He was challenged in that. You're
Although
not normal.
Riley did kind of help bring him back on pace when she said, "You knew I got a soy latte because
Right.
you know I like soy lattes."
She did.
The chip
She
had
did.
nothing to do with the fact that you knew I got a soy latte when I went to the coffee shop.
Right.
So, I mean, there's some ups and downs that we're going to see, I think, and hopefully they'll start diving into that a little bit.
It'd be
Yeah.
good.
Because this episode was good. Like I said, they didn't leave headquarters for the most part.
Yeah, it
Everything
was-
happened at home base.
For the most part.
I mean, you know, they went to Baltimore, they went to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Who cares?
But they didn't go like to around the world.
Yeah, they're not in
80
They
days.
went out, grabbed some stuff, and brought it back.
Right.
Right.
Like,
To go.
That was great.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the episode. So this episode is one of the first times we've seen kind of bringing back that singularity concept in full effect. Because we saw it the most in the pilot episode,
Right.
where they talked about this concept of singularity and man versus machine, because the machines that in this episode are man-made machines. They're comparing them to a virus, but at the end of the day, they are still a machine that someone has created. So in the plotline, we see at the very beginning, Professor Chris Donovan answers his cell phone, drops dead, blood coming out of his ears, and blood all over the floor and in the hospital. And we find out that he's been attacked by these nanites. They're not sure really how it happened or where it came from, but they start diving into it, and they find that 4 people have been killed immediately from these little yellow packages that they found in his office. And we also find out that the community that is the scientific intelligence community is the size of my fist. That everybody knows everybody. There's
Right.
7 people apparently that do this, and they're the
Those-
specialists
yeah.
in the
At the
field.
top of theirs, exactly.
Those are
Yes.
the people that are
Yeah.
the top of their game.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're so surprised. Do you think there'd be hundreds of people? Because if that were the case, then these nanites would have been around a long time ago.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm just saying that it's nice to know that if I need some artificial intelligence, I know the 6 people I need to call.
Well, they're all dead now.
What is that?
not
6
all.
degrees of separation?
Yeah.
It's just like one. It's like
6
one
degrees
degree.
of Dr. Cassidy.
It's just one degree.
Yeah.
1 degree, that's it. Oh, I know him. We went to school together.
Right, exactly.
He was my mentor.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, we did a project together.
Right, there it is.
Exactly.
There it is.
Done. So these little yellow boxes, and we find Dr. Cassidy. Again, that's what I liked about this episode, because there was so much like emotion and different feelings that we haven't got, especially with them. There's some character exploration that we haven't seen before. It's not just him being smart and having the answers all the time. He's upset about his friend, Dr. Donovan, getting killed. And then he's upset about these other people that they find out that he knows. LaCroix was one of them or something like that. They briefly mentioned at the very beginning of the episode. And then we find out that there are more of these boxes that are out there, and they are trying to figure out who they are and where to go.
Well, I will say, based on what you were just saying, that they have been strategically building different characters at different times in different episodes.
A little bit, yeah.
So we've seen it with some of the other characters and kind of what they've dealt with, and then going forward. So I think this was just his turn to have his
This
character
was the
development,
Dr.
moment,
Cassidy Nelson
which is
episode.
why you like it, because that's your boy.
Dude, Nelson, man. DJ Byron, all day long.
Yeah.
He tweets at me sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I'm all
Okay,
right.
all right.
I'm
Handle
good.
that.
We're friends. It's fine.
What-
There it is.
Maybe I'd like him more if he tweeted at me.
Maybe you should tweet at him more.
Maybe I should.
If you tweet at people enough, they'll eventually tweet you back.
Leave me alone.
Or you can get locked out like you.
Speaking of Twitter, I forgot to talk about this at the very top of the episode. Big shout out to Joseph Ortiz winning our Twitter
Yes,
contest last week.
yeah, all right.
Scripts in the mail. You'll get that soon. Machin's return, autographed by the folks at the episode.
Yes.
So good for you. He had that Twitter message to us like before we were even taking my headphones off. I checked my phone and it was like,
Oh, done.
you got Twitter messages from Joseph Ortiz.
Right.
So
He was on it.
shout out to
great,
him.
yeah.
He was listening to us live. So
That's dope.
that's the only way to do it.
That's
dope.
how you win a contest.
That's how you win a
how you
contest.
win a
You listen
contest.
live, and then you call in
Yeah.
over and over again.
Over and over.
Ryan Seacrest, I'm coming for you. There's a new Ryan in town.
Uh-oh.
I would watch that battle.
That would be a good battle. He's like a foot shorter than me, though.
Great. I could take him.
You could take him. Put him on your shoulders.
Here's bodyguard now. What's going on?
So speaking of people that we can take, Bryce Tyler,
Oh, yeah.
Baltimore native, scientist extraordinaire, is the next target for this episode. Look at me segueing it again.
Nice.
That's what I do, bringing stuff back. We find that one of the cool things that Gabriel can do, as we've learned that there's a whole lot of things that he can do. He can turn on somebody's cell from silent to ringer. He can stop stoplights when they're chasing people. All kinds of new great improvements.
Yet he can't see the nanites or get into whatever on their wavelength. That's something really interesting.
He's not programmed for that.
No, I know. It's just very interesting that he can do all of these things. Then we discover later that he can't get onto the SAR signal.
Correct.
Interesting.
But he can't do everything.
We're getting there.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
We're getting there. It's coming very soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bryce Tyler, protege. If you can't see me watching video, I'm making weird hand gestures in the studio. I'm sorry.
It's like nerdy and gang sides or something.
You know, I hold a pen, so I don't move my hand as much, but it doesn't always work when there's nobody beside me.
Right.
If there's somebody beside me, I'm a lot more controlled.
I see. Okay.
I'm glad I have this whole side to myself with a booth. Anyway, so we find out that he was a protege of Dr. Cassidy's, and he was a very good friend. He was a very intelligent person. They're trying to get a hold of him because they're afraid of this package that's going to come and it's going to maybe kill him. So they call the secretary. The secretary had already opened the package and they find her dead with a note in there, a nice binary code note.
Cryptid.
Who doesn't, if you're a nerdy scientist who's into artificial intelligence, what better way to make a note than in a binary code?
Of course.
I think the best part was they were like, oh, it's a binary code. Okay, we can translate this real fast. And Gabriel's like, got it.
Yeah, he's the first one. It's like 1010111110. And then we find out that it says, welcome to the future. Because this nanite technology is the future. And, you know, with the show, one of the things that I think is cool that it deals with, these technologies are not far off. You know, this singularity concept and these nanite technologies and, you know, using these organisms that are microscopic but are computer-based to fight diseases like cancer and fight other things. I mean, they're in the works now. These are things we could see in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, you know, that are being used. So it's cool that they're using something that is relatable, but it's still just far enough away from us that it seems like, oh, cool, this is a kind of little science fiction. This is a little bit action-y.
I think it adds to the novelty.
And there's a little bit of terrorism in there as well.
Yeah, I think it adds to the novelty of the show because it is something that you could see realistically happening. You know, in 10 years or 20 years or, you know, really close.
Movies in the
right
80s that talked about biochemical weapons. It's the same thing. You know, it's something that's just around the corner.
Right.
And I think what's really exciting is that nanites, we said this last time when we talked about what was happening this week, is that the idea of nanites isn't an original idea. We've seen it on Revolution, on Doctor Who, on all sorts of shows with the nanogenes and the nanotech and the nanites. And I think it's just really getting closer as we see it more often. You know what I mean? It's terrifying.
It is
exciting
terrifying.
all at once.
So since you're talking about that, this is one thing that I wanted to point out about this show that I've been kind of thinking about a lot, and with other shows as well. One thing that I dislike about this show is, to me, and I say this about several shows, there's not enough rules in the show that are structured in a way that there's no way to stop them. You know, it's just they introduce things and now it's like, oh, well, let's introduce something else. And Yael's on another podcast I do for Almost Human, and I was saying the same thing about that show. There's not like a structure that holds them in and keeps them accountable. And I think that's one thing that makes audiences stop watching shows, is because there's no world that they live in.
Right.
Well, let me present it to you like this.
Go.
This is all technology that they're introducing and creating. Right?
And I'm not saying this episode, I'm just saying the show in general.
No. In shows, in sci-fi shows, in both Almost Human and Intelligence, they don't have these rules. They introduce this new technology. They go, look at this new technology. We live in a world that also doesn't really have those rules. People are working on making these new technologies. So I think they're trying to be, you know, without structuring and making rules, saying, look, we're in this world. It could happen.
I don't leave the AFTERBUZZ studios. I don't see those things happening. I live in a bubble that is this room.
That makes me so sad.
Right.
I am tanned by fluorescent lighting. But yes, I mean, I agree. And I see that that's similar to the world that we do live in.
Yeah.
And those are the technologies that are out there for us. However, as a TV viewer,
You want rules.
I want a little bit of structure. It doesn't have to be like extreme crazy structure, but I don't want to see things that pop up and then disappear, and then pop up and then disappear. And then what was the point of me getting involved in this specific episode and the endeavors that they went through if it's not something that I'm ever going to see again?
Well, you don't know that you're never going to see it again.
At this point, correct. I do not know that I'm never going to see it again.
We can assume that you'll never see it
But
again.
you're based on history.
Based on history of
Based on
television,
history.
if I'm creating a relatable character and a situation, and I'm getting involved in these things that are happening, that's what I want as a viewer. I want those things to be relevant again.
But do you think, based on what you're saying, don't you think that science fiction genre in general is something that is made that way? You know, it is something that isn't happening. It has to do with things in outer space and aliens and things that are things that we think may exist or may not exist, or things that think could happen and could not happen. I mean, you look at the old school like Star Trek, you know, when that came out, and I mean, I love Star Trek, but you know, I didn't think like, oh my gosh, Vulcan, you know, he has a Vulcan grip and he can grip anybody and then they pass out. I mean, I didn't think like there needs to be limitations. It's science fiction, so I'm taking that for what it is. So,
But even in that, they live in a structured world where the people on Star Trek that live in the Enterprise have a certain ability or not because of their human content. And the Vulcans have a certain ability because of their structure, and they're taught that, and it's explained early on. So you know the rules of their world.
So you're saying that with what's going on now with these new sci-fi shows, there's just it has no boundaries.
Right.
Gotcha. And you need boundaries.
I need a little bit.
In your science
And
fiction.
that's why Star Trek ran for so long.
Right.
And
Because it had boundaries?
because it had boundaries.
Not because it was good,
Had-
because it had boundaries.
Listen, George Takei, shout out to you. Oh my. That is why it ran so long.
Just because I am?
Just for them. All right, we're getting off topic.
That's
So
hilarious.
binary code that we find in the episode,
Right.
they actually zoom in on it and they find that inside the binary code is a manifesto of 350 pages based on a quick analyst by our good friend Vaughn using his chip. He discovers that there's patterns based on 6 different things that they saw, and these patterns tie back to another doctor, Dr. Gordon Grayson, who's the leading expert in expertise that is in artificial intelligence. And everyone knows him, and he's also known to be a little bit crazy. So he is the one they're going to go after because he's clearly the person who did this.
Are we not going to mention that is David Marciano, who is also on Homeland?
David Marciano, Gordon Grayson, Homeland.
Thank
yes.
you. I
It
just
is
wanted that.
duly noted and mentioned.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Gordon Grayson. I like this little scene though where they're analyzing the text because Bryce Tyler is also sitting in the room and he's like watching him and he's like, wait, how did he do that? He's like, it's right there on the screen. I'm just reading the screen.
Right.
Can't you see? It's right here in front of me. Obviously,
Right
he's-
over my shoulder.
Yeah, it's right there. I pulled it
Right,
up.
right.
So yes, Nelson telling jokes like Nelson does best.
Well, he was trying to be serious.
I know it was.
But it was just, yeah.
But Vaughn
Come on
didn't
now.
care. Like Vaughn knew that he shouldn't be doing it, but he's
Right.
still just like blah 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 and spitting out
Yeah,
information.
exactly.
I have the address.
Right. No, he wasn't tripping.
I found him. Let's go. We're already on the way. And so they pull Bryce out of the room, and you know, I like the point where he confronts him because this starts the turmoil that we
Yes.
saw, and he's like, "Don't be afraid of what you are. You're the future. You know, you and the technology that you have, you're the one that's going to lead this technology and things like it. So embrace it."
I have a question for you too. In when you see his character entered in, and you started seeing him challenge Vaughn, at some point in time between that time and the time you found out he was dirty, that he was part of, you know, what was going on, did you think that he was, you know, did he come early, or were you surprised?
Oh, I didn't trust him from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
you didn't? Okay.
I thought he was the villain right away too.
Okay, I was
Like
just
as soon
checking
as
there.
they
Called to warn him. I
Well-
was like, that's the villain.
That's the villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought there was something weird about him right away as well. And I was like, why would your secretary be listening to headphones? Like, that was a little dicey to me. And then after they captured Gordon Grayson, I was like, no, he's not the bad guy. This isn't it. It's got to be the other guy.
other
Yeah.
guy.
Like, I was just like, it's got to be him. And
Right.
he's like already inside Cyber Command. And they let him in the front door.
Ah, dang it.
Idiots. God.
No, I was just curious because I mean I felt the same way, but I just wanted to see what your take was on it.
No, it's good. I like that take. So anyway, so they go to get Gordon Grayson, and as any good person who writes literature that stirs the world up. He's got escape routes in his building.
That
course.
was amazing.
He's like, I'm out, and he drops to the floor.
Right.
I think the line was, "You're just gonna put me in a hole."
Right.
But it's too late now. I'm already there.
And then boom, he's done.
He's got his own. And then the hole was rigged up with explosives, so they
Yeah.
couldn't follow him.
Right.
I liked that. And then the Underground Railroad makes an appearance in Intelligence.
Right.
This is a throwback, if you will, from years past. Speaking of throwback, you know what's a good throwback?
What's that?
iTunes.
I saw that coming. It's
Because on
beautiful.
iTunes, not only can you download old beats, you can download any podcast that AfterBuzz TV does.
Any pod.
Any podcast available on any of your devices. So, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate you being here. We like being here for you. And here's what you can do to help us out. You want to know?
Yeah, what can they
I would
do?
like to know.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
You can go to the iTunes. On the iTunes, you can check out one of over 67 podcasts that we do for free every single week to 25 million subscribers. Really? That's interesting. And how is it you say we can help you? I'll tell you. By giving us a 5-star rating on the show, leaving us a comment on our YouTube and or iTunes channels, because that's what we do best. The way that we can be the best intelligence show that we can be is by making us the most searchable intelligence show that we can be.
Exactly.
And that's the best thing that we want, is we want to be found by people like you, so we can talk about the show, answer the questions that you have, give away free stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, deep down inside, I'm going to tell you that size matters. And a 5-star rating is the biggest size that you can have.
It's huge size.
That's huge.
5 stars.
5 stars.
It's really what
Yeah.
you want.
That's
someone to
really what
have.
I
Right.
want. And that's what everyone else on this panel wants as well, including Steven in the booth.
Yeah.
I just waited for that to see if he's going to reply. So thank you for tuning in. iTunes 5 stars. Love it. Anyway, back to the topic at hand here. He is the future. But we see that he does have limitations, because when they first go to Gordon Grayson's house, Grayson has done something to his apartment where he's unable to scan the building. So he can't figure out what's going on. He can't do a heat signal. And then they get in the camera after they get into the building is also on a separate frequency, and he can't hack the camera. So after he's been given this pat on the back, if you will, by Bryce, hey, you know, you're the future and you can do this, blah, blah, blah. There's things he can't do now.
Well, that's what I think is good, like I said earlier, about this episode, that he met a lot of challenges in this episode. Even when they went and he got, to the car and got away in the car, and they found, the car on the tire tracks, and they're trying to find out, and then he's like, oh, scanning and all this kind of
Scanning the
stuff.
tire.
Right. And then she says, oh, yeah,
That's a Ford.
Ford. And he's like, what?
Based on
And
the
he's
tire
like-
width.
He's like, oh, well, my brother's a gearhead. So, I mean, it's just like he can't do it all, and that's good. And I hope that they continue showing that, because there's your limitations.
But it seemed, so the limitations, though, to me seemed too easy. So, like, not the overcoming of the
So you
object-
want certain types of
No,
limitations.
no. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just seemed like.
Pickers can't be.
Come on
No,
now.
hold on.
Come
Let
on
me
now.
explain. I'm going to explain. I got
Beggars can't be choosers. That's what you're
That's
looking
it.
for? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
looking for.
Yeah, you're a
I
beggar.
don't
So-
speak English, guys.
I mean, something as simple as the building is lined and can't be scanned. Oh, I can't hack the cameras. Why can't other people do that? Why can't that be a limitation every time?
As opposed to just this one
As opposed
time.
to this one time when it was convenient that it fit the storyline, that now he's got this limitation where he can't scan a building because it's something they put in the building. So it becomes a matter of, it fits what we're doing right now, versus that could be a recurring thing. If they've come up with something that he can't scan and they can start using it more in other episodes.
Then there'll eventually be some sort of terrorist who knows his skills and goes, well,
Yeah.
I'll do this because he can't do it. And that would be interesting to watch.
Right,
You're
because
right.
the terrorism in this episode, Gordon Grayson has no idea that Vaughn exists, and he's not even the terrorist.
Yeah.
So he didn't do this to try to prevent Gabriel Vaughn from getting into his building or anything. It's just something that he did as a scientist and to protect himself.
Right.
So why can't other terrorists who are obviously smart enough to use biochemical weapons and or nanites come up with these things?
I
That's a
see
good-
what you're saying.
What needs to be written down?
Yeah.
That's all. That is all.
It needs to be written in the script.
But you know what? They do it the old-fashioned way, sneaking around the cameras, Metal
Yes.
Gear Solid style,
Right.
around the walls. And then after he escapes, they chase him down. And again, he's using the stoplight thing, and they're scanning for the Ford vehicle, and they figure out that he paid cash. So they're looking for tax records for someone that paid cash, and then his mom's maiden name. And they find,
I have a question. Did you guys notice? I can't remember exactly when it was, but she was feeding stuff to him, and there was one thing she fed to him, and he already had it up. So I don't know if he was just more intelligent, like he knew what she was going to say,
No,
or
I
if that
think-
was a mess up in the fact that it was up before.
in the CGI?
I think it was wrong. I think you're wrong on both. I think it was when
Excuse
they.
me?
Let
Never
me,
mind.
I can explain. No,
What?
let me defend my statement.
Better.
I'm sorry. I think it's when they're looking up information on the computer back at Cyber Command.
Mm-hmm.
He is seeing what they see on the computer, so they pull it up. He sees it, and then she says it. You know what I'm saying?
But it
'Cause
depends on
she's
what
not the
screen.
one-
Because if you looked at the screens when they were showing from Vaughn's perspective, there was a screen that was to your upper right corner. Those are the things that he was seeing and pulling up. And there's a screen to the lower left a little bit, and that was the actual panel in their vehicle. Because that one they kept showing Agent Jameson, and he was in there like doing stuff on the computer.
Right,
so like
right.
that was him and what he was pulling up. But if it was in the screen that was to the upper right, that was Vaughn's screen. So that could have been a mistake based on the CGI and that kind of stuff.
Well, the stuff that Vaughn
Are
is
you talking about
pulling
when
up-
the form? That was the thing.
It was a form. Yeah,
it was
exactly.
the tax form.
Yes, yes. She said it, but he had
But
it.
it
up
already had,
as-
like,
it
the
already had-
ID of
right,
the
exactly.
form.
Right.
Right. I'm saying that I think CJ, what's his name?
Nope, that's Michael Ratty is the character you're looking for, and that is Agent Jameson.
My apologies.
No
Come on
problem.
now. You better get it right.
Yeah, I know.
is
I'm
boy.
taking back my statement. I'm done.
Oh,
Done.
That thought just died.
it's the done.
Go. Oh,
No,
are
that
you-
thought
are-
died.
are you- are you thought- oh,
She
okay.
gave up. She gave up.
I'm sorry, I was looking down and wasn't even paying attention to
I was
anything you were
gonna-
saying.
Yeah, that's why my thought died.
Okay.
Because he's not paying attention.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
I got sad.
It's a sad, sad world. So
Moving on.
after they catch him, they're in there and they're interrogating him and they're talking about him being a terrorist and the things that Grayson does. And he says, I'm not a terrorist. I'm a political activist and I don't want to hurt anybody. But they're telling him that people have been hurt. At the same time, we have a cool little conversation going on with Bryce Tyler, Dr. Cassidy, and Lillian Strand that seems a bit sketchy to me. This is one of the points that was like, oh, clearly he's the bad guy in this episode.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Because it was like this overlapping, he was sort of asking these questions that
Right.
didn't feel like what he should have been asking.
Right.
And this is where we get then the Frankenstein monster and him saying, I am the monster. He cuts the camera off and starts like threatening him, and he's threatening Gordon Grayson. You'd think in Homeland he'd be used to it. But we find out that in the scene too, this is another thing, that Vaughn is still uncontrollable.
Right. Because he's human.
Because he's human. But I think that aside, human or not, I think he's still going to do what he wants to do. And he does it several times in this episode towards the end. But in this part, he cuts the cameras off and is threatening him and being this uncontrollable Frankenstein monster.
Right.
Because that's his personality.
Well, and that's been the fear, I think, ongoing.
Correct.
That he's going to do that. That was the president's fear. That's been the fear of the higher ups in
Weatherly
the agency.
and
Exactly.
Lillian.
And that's
All
why
of them.
Riley is there.
They've all mentioned that, and exactly that's why Riley's there, to protect him, but also to kind of keep him in check
Yeah.
as well.
Protect him from himself.
Hey, there you go.
She's a glorified babysitter / security guard
Slash
Slash
beautiful
security guard.
woman.
/ beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman.
No one's arguing that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that I think that's going to be. That could be his demise, before he even has limitations. I think that's going to, if there is one, let's say, where he's finally has these challenges that he can't overcome. I think his emotions and his feelings as a human is going to override challenges that he has as his ability with his special gifts.
And him solving the problem is going to become more important than obeying orders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree. I think that could be something that we will see. Let's save that for the end for prediction.
Predictions.
Anyway, so this is when we learn then, when they're interrogating Gordon Grayson, that a cell phone signal goes off. Riley gets a text from an unknown number, and then Dr. Grayson passes out and is bleeding from his nose and has been attacked by these nanites. So they're investigating into his body, and they put this correlation together that the nanites are a machine. They're not an organism. They're not a virus. So they're actually triggered, not just by opening a box and not just by breathing them in, but they're given a command through an SAR signal that's been piggybacked on the cell phone. But that's something that Vaughn is unable to trace, basically, and he doesn't know it's coming until it's too late. So, again, another limitation. That's 3 that we've seen in this episode.
Is that why this is your favorite episode?
No, that's not why it's my
Should
favorite.
be the name of the episode. Limitations.
Limitations, because Size Matters is the best name of an episode to date.
Yeah.
So I don't think it should be limitations, but that is good. That is a good point. There was a lot of limitations in this episode by everyone. So, after he leaves, and they try to investigate the body, he's using an electron magnet to try to pull the nanites out because they are machines, they're metal. So he's kind of pulling them out of the body, and I loved this little moment that they had where they're like doing the father-son thing because it shows the limitations of Nelson.
Right.
Because he's smart, but he's not his dad by any means. And like he's holding the little blood clot or whatever he has, and he's like, "There's 1 million nanites in this," and he's like, "Oh great!" He's like about to pass out, about to throw up, and he's like, "Why are we wearing these suits?" And he just wants to get out of there. And they're like, the electron magnet is pulling the nanites out of the body in this weird like skin scene and
like nasty alien,
this nasty alien looking thing. But that's okay because we find out this is why that they're being killed, because they're being triggered and turned on. So it was a good little scene. And then what else happens? Do you remember?
Then they realize that it's not Gordon Grayson, and it's actually
oh, you, Bryce Tyler, you.
Bryce. What?
Nothing. That's all. I was just playing along.
Am I going too fast? Did I miss something?
No, you were right on
I'm
speed.
Right. That's what happens next.
Yes.
Gosh.
Well, no, we find out that he's the villain and they're going to go get him.
Right.
But at the very same time, a cell phone, as they're using the magnet and the microscopes and stuff, has been left in the office to trigger more nanites.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And this is where, to me, the episode got good. Like, this is the part where it's like, really? Is he gonna die? Because it goes right to commercial, like, right after the phone rings and his nose starts bleeding.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's gonna happen? I immediately wanted to get on IMDb and see how many episodes that he was billed for.
Really?
Because it's like, does he die?
Did you?
I mean, maybe. I'm not at liberty to talk about
You're
that.
a cheater.
No, I'm not cheating.
You're a cheater.
This is the moment in the episode where I went, oh my God, I love him. I don't want to lose him. But then we come back from commercial, and what did we discover? That he's not dead.
He's not dead.
And I was like, they missed the boat. That would have been heartbreaking and wonderful and risky for a show, and I think it would have really solidified the audience.
I think so too.
I think...
But I agree. I'm sorry. I don't want to lose your point.
It's fine.
But what I will say is I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't think the show is in a place that it can do that.
It can't kill. There's not enough characters.
This is not like
characters.
Walking Dead, where you can kill off people and then you're still engrossed in the show, even though these are principal characters. I think every principal character needs to be there until the show solidifies itself as that.
I think if you look at quality dramas, you see the best ones, everyone's favorite ones, the ones that are winning all the awards. They are risky.
They're not afraid to kill off a major character.
They will kill off a major character, and they will do it quickly.
Game of Thrones has killed off like 6 major characters.
Game of Thrones, you fall in love with any character, he's doomed.
They could leave.
Hey, spoiler, by the way, Game of Thrones fans who haven't watched episodes, somebody gets killed.
Somebody gets killed.
Every week, someone's going to die.
Everybody dies.
So you think for the sake of the show, that's something that should have happened?
I think for the sake of the show, and I think for the sake of the story, I think... And I didn't want him to. That's the...
Yeah, and you feel for him, and you don't want him to die, but you think about who can you kill off in the show, who is disposable yet that we have enough attachment to, and yet can still be replaced in the aspect of Dr. Cassidy. You know, Nelson can step up for the most part and fill that role still in the show.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that would have been an optimal choice of somebody that you do kill off if you're killing off a character. And I agree, that would have solidified an audience, because that would have been this heart-wrenching moment in the show that really, really pulls you in, because this whole scene, and I thought the same thing as I was watching it. I was like, wait, why isn't he dead like instantly? Because everyone else died right away.
Yeah.
Right. Or very shortly.
Very shortly. Yeah. And I know they got the magnet out right away and we're kind of using it.
Right.
But even between that amount of time, that just seemed longer than everyone else.
Right.
And as soon as you saw that he was still alive when we got back from commercial, that was when you knew that he wasn't going to die.
Well, I mean, I knew he wasn't going to die because of the show. Like, I just knew that they wouldn't kill off a character.
Right.
How the show is
It's not
going.
that type of show.
It's not that type of show.
That they'll kill people off.
And
Right.
I think they missed a really great opportunity. And I just want to make it clear to the fans that I did not want him to die. I do really love that character. I think they should have killed him.
Yes. However, that being said, had they killed him, it would have been great for the plot line.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. And I agree. And I think that would have been a good twist and turn in this episode. Because, you know, with the characters that we've seen have been killed off or written off, rather, there's nothing that's been really an attachment to any of these people. We don't feel bad that Amelia is not back yet. I mean, we want her back. We don't feel bad necessarily that Mei Chin hasn't returned. We saw Agent Griffin for the one episode, and we kind of hated him, but we still kind of want to see what happened with that. So these characters that have been in and out, they don't have the level of commitment to us that Dr. Cassidy does.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. They missed the boat on that one. But we'll see. Maybe they'll kill somebody off next week.
Probably not.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
But we won't hold our breath. But anyway, so this is a cool little scene too where we see the Frankenstein monster return because Vaughn's going down to interrogate Bryce and to find out what he can do to save Dr. Cassidy.
Right.
And he's like attacking him and throws him on the desk, and we see the soldier coming out of him and basically tactics of torture.
I think he was ready to do that.
He was ready to,
based on what was happening earlier
to
with
snap.
him
And
antagonizing
Riley
him.
was ready to sit back and let
Exactly.
him do it.
She sat back and let it happen.
Oh yeah.
Great.
So, and he's torturing and talking to him, and Riley's kind of egging him on, and he's talking about his blood, and then revelation, even blood happened. They figured out that they could potentially kill the nanites because they only have one purpose, and if the blood is cold, so they go up and they ice him down. I was actually really surprised and how impressed with how much ice they had that fast. I was like, oh, where'd they get all this ice?
So I was thinking about that as well, about the ice, about the whole medical procedure they were doing, and that they didn't have they don't have medical equipment. So like Dr. Cassidy died, and they needed to restart his heart, and every other medical show will tell you that you have to
Defibrillate.
that
Right.
clear it.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Clear it.
Either an
Right.
AED machine or a defibrillator.
Right. But they don't seem to have that.
But they
So
had
they just-
adrenaline that they stabbed in
Yeah.
his heart,
They just waited.
which if you've ever seen The Rock, that works.
It does work.
It does work.
I've tried it.
The
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to mention was that when Riley says when the warm blood and it triggers and he figures it out. It's again what you were saying in previous episodes that one of Vaughn's limitations is that he doesn't think creatively, and he needs Riley to
She's the one that's basically finds the drain, as they said before, in the
Yeah.
puzzle.
Right.
But she triggered the answer in him, but he did in his own figure it out, I guess.
right, but he wouldn't have figured it out.
Had Riley not been there.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's again, I think I hope not to go into predictions, but I hope that becomes an issue that she tries to leave or something.
If she goes away and he can't figure the puzzle out because she's not there,
Right.
basically to give him either the answer or the clues to find the answer and the right, pattern, if you will. The puzzle
Yeah.
pieces don't fit together in his mind without her putting them in the right angles.
Right.
Speaking of that, just by itself, what if, I'm just hypothetically, knowing what we know about these characters and about their development and their roles with this show, what if, do you think it would be a different situation if they would have put the chip into Riley? Like, would she have been the ultimate? You know what I'm saying? Because
Like better than Vaughn?
Yeah, we've got Mei Chin.
yeah. Well, but Mei Chin hasn't come back.
She will.
You think so?
I hope so.
You want her to come back?
I do.
Okay.
And she knows it.
She knows it. But I'm
agree.
really.
I think not just because she's a woman. I think Riley would be a much cooler thing.
But then we'd have the whole issue with emotions and that kind of stuff would play into it in a different way, I think, than it does.
What you want to? I want to hear what.
Let's have a female emotional debate, please. Listen, we don't have that much
I'm
time.
going to step out of the room.
That was
That goes
you
down.
just, you just took this conversation somewhere I really don't want it to go.
I went there because I wanted to see what you'd say.
Did you not see that look on my face?
Yep.
Oh, whew.
Casey missed the look on her face. It was priceless.
All I want is, I was just thinking, I mean, obviously it would take away from the, dynamics of the show.
Right.
It would just be interesting because we already established that she kicks butt. She's, she's in her own right, just dope. So if the chip was in her, if that would be a different situation, you know what I'm saying? And maybe him being the role of the protector or whatever.
I guess that would be more like I want to say bionic woman, but that's not what I'm thinking of.
Well, what the cool dynamic with this, though, is because the chip is in him and she is the protector, it's very different than, your status quo of society where
Right.
the man is protecting the woman.
Right.
No, I understand. And that's what we've talked about
Yeah.
before that is dope about the show.
Yes.
That it
So
has
let's
that.
leave the feminism out of this. Let's leave the female emotion out of this.
Yeah.
And let's talk more about Dr. Cassidy coming back to life.
Yeah.
He lived.
He did live. But it was cool how he lived. Because he was able to tap into the electron magnet and basically see, he did a
Vaughn.
cyber rendering.
You're talking about Vaughn.
Gabriel Vaughn did a cyber rendering through the electromagnet to get on the right frequency to find the nanites that are inside his body as his body's slowly dying. And you see the the giant bug. It just reminded me of those like Orchid Man commercials, like the bugs in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And it's slowly dying, and you see its mouth slowly shutting and it's wilting. And he's like, wait. And he's flatlining. And he's like, now. Just in time, they stab him with the adrenaline. They're pumping fluid into him. But we don't know if he lived. I mean, we do know.
Yeah, I was like,
gonna say,
we've
what?
talked about it. In the show, while watching, we did not know if he lived.
really? As an audience, we didn't know.
I mean, I knew because I IMDb'd it, but
cheater.
Cheater.
I didn't IMDb it, and I knew it.
you might have not known. But he lives. That's great. We want him to live because we're not there yet. We can't kill anybody off. I know you want to. I want to too, but we can't.
We can't.
All
It's too
right.
soon.
No.
Too far, too soon.
Move on.
Moving right along. All right. So this is a good point because, again, we got this great story. We saw some emotional side of Dr. Cassidy. But at the very end of the episode, he gets the last word because he goes in to interrogate Bryce Tyler. And he brings out a box. And he's like, oh, yeah? We found this encrypted code on the cell phone that you used. And why'd you call your secretary's, cell phone instead of her office phone? And he opens the box. And he's like, you want to take that risk? And he's dialing on the phone. And the smoke's coming out of the box, and he's dialing 747, and then Bryce breaks. Doesn't admit to anything, but we know because he's broke.
Yeah.
He's the villain. He's the one that
course.
did it, and he blamed everything on Gordon Grayson because everyone would believe it since Gordon Grayson is a little bit eccentric
Right.
and has made not terrorist-based threats, but he's very vocal about his opinions on things.
Right.
Has been put on watch lists for the things he's said and his beliefs of the future. Powdered sugar. Genius powdered sugar. I don't know if it was powdered sugar or not, but I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to get a box and open it up and see if powdered sugar flies out.
I'm going to send you a box and let's see if it's powdered sugar.
I hope it is. I'm going to... Delicious.
Or it's nanites.
I hope it's... Actually, heck, send me a box of nanites. I'm in
want
for
a
that
box
for
of
sure.
nanites? What?
Are you kidding me?
Let's see what happens.
Right.
Okay. So we get the last word. The case is solved. And like every good episode of Intelligence, we have to end the show on a Riley and Vaughn note.
Of course.
Yeah.
He calls her for the nightly checkup, even though it's almost sunrise, and they're both still up.
I thought she had said that they'd already had their nightly checkup.
It
And that
was
he
too
was
late.
calling
It was
again.
too late for it, or
All
something. I don't know if they had it or not. It shows too late for it because
right.
the sun was almost
Right.
up.
Right.
I thought he was just calling her a second time.
He was maybe
Yeah. Anyway.
because we saw at the very end of this episode they have a date.
Aw.
They were going to go get waffles. So
But is that really a date, though?
I mean,
in
listen,
cyber world,
if you call a girl up at 4 a.m. and you're like, dude, let's go
I
get
know
waffles.
what a date is. I'm saying, do we think that that's a date with them?
I wrote that it was a date.
You wrote that it was a date? You think it was a date? Or you want it to be a date?
Here's my thoughts on it.
Okay.
He asks her out. His wife, girlfriend, whatever Amelia was, he's still like, she just died. It may have been months, but you've been searching for her for a long time, and she just died. And now you're asking out some other girl? Like, he's moved on way too fast.
We need him to move on way too fast so we can bring her back.
You think that that's going
Touche.
to bring her back?
That's what we need. That's
the drama
That's
we need.
that's the
That's the
drama we
drama that
need.
we
We
need.
need. And you got to think though too. They spend an absorbent amount of time together. They're together day and night,
Right.
doing these cases. They're partners. They work together. They're traveling together. They live across the street from each other. So they see each other. 20
24/7.
hours
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah.
So there is no reason, from the standpoint of love, that that much time with someone could not force you to forget about someone else because you don't have time to think about that someone else. So it could be possible that Amelia has been forgotten just because he hasn't had time to think about Amelia. Because when he's with her, they're doing stuff and they're having a little banter and they're on cases and he's working all the time. So, or he's working out like he does sometimes. So that's plausible to me that
All right. I'll
that
allow
he
it.
forgets about her because of Riley being around.
All right, I'll allow it. It's just, it seems a little odd or far-fetched because when Riley first arrived, he'd gone through a bunch of different agents because he doesn't like any of them.
Right.
And he like, within the first episode or two, he's accepted.
Yeah.
Within the first episode, he's accepted it.
But they're not Meg and Ori. Are you kidding?
I don't know if that is the point.
That is
I
the
mean,
point that I'm making.
I get it. Fine.
Yeah, just let it happen.
Let it happen.
Let it happen.
She is
Asks her
gorgeous.
out. We have a lovely end of the episode moment where they're meeting for waffles in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it ends with a smile from Vaughn. I saw that smile at the end. So It was a good episode. I'm telling you, I like this episode. I think so far the best of every episode that they've had because it drew me in. It gave me some background on some people. It gave me a little softer side of people. We saw some connections being made that we didn't have. Saw some technology that's pretty cool. So there was a lot to this episode, I think. That's all I've got. You got anything else?
About this episode, I've made all my complaints.
You've made all your complaints, and her hair wasn't in her face at all this episode. I watched for it. Although somebody on our YouTube channel did comment about that and how they agreed with you, and they're like, I would never have her as my partner either.
Right.
So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's move right along to the best part of the show.
Yeah.
And now, you're AfterBuzz.
You didn't even have to say it.
I didn't have to say
You
it.
didn't even have to say
Steven
it.
predicted my predictions before I even got it out.
That's crazy.
Rah.
It was the fingers.
It was
Yeah.
the wavy fingers.
Right. The nerdy gang
If you
signs.
also aren't watching us on the YouTube video, I'm waving my fingers like flashy lights.
Like
the lights,
flashy lights.
like not flashy lights, but
flashy
like
lights?
flashy lights, sort of
Okay.
flashy light-ish. Yeah, what do you think's gonna happen next week on episode number 8?
The next episode, from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be Gabriel's soldier backstory. We're going to learn more about his time in Afghanistan or Iraq or both. And it's, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited. I'm just enjoying the ride at this point. Is that okay, guys? Can I
Yes.
just enjoy the ride?
Just size matters and enjoy the ride.
Exactly.
What do you think, Lem?
What do I think? So I think that I think the show is, as a whole, is going to continue going in with, they get these assignments and they do them. I don't think it's going to deviate much. I think it's going to kind of follow the same pattern.
This is the most backstory that we're gonna get.
Right, exactly. I will say, though, that at some point in time, whether it's in the next episode or after, they're going to have to give Riley's backstory. And I'm excited to get that because they kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah, in the Secret Service episode
Right,
with
exactly.
Agent Griffin.
Right, but I think they need to dwell more into how she is, why she is, the way she is.
Her love life.
Exactly.
Her love
all of
life
that,
with Agent
or
Griffin.
lack
He
thereof.
said he was going to return.
Yeah.
So Micro Truco tweeted me and said he was coming
said
back.
he was coming back?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, don't be surprised if this
Yeah.
isn't the end of Agent Griffin.
So if he does come back, then it definitely will come up. So I would be interested, to see that.
What episode number is next week?
Hold on. Can I just do my prediction first?
No.
Stop. I'm going to do my prediction first. Because my prediction is next week we are going to see Mr. Octavius Johnson. I know. I saw it in your face and I didn't want you to ruin it. I've been sitting on it for the last 40 minutes.
Look how ready he is.
It's my prediction.
I can't believe you took that from me.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. Octavius Johnson, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, for coming out and listening to us talk about Intelligence After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We'll see you next week.
What?
Where can we find you?
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Fine. Guys, tell them where they can find you.
The people can find me, hopefully they want to, on Twitter and Instagram at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And online at yael.tv, YAEL.tv.
And you can find me all day, every day on Twitter and Instagram at The Poet Saint.
I guess since we're giving shout outs, you can find me at RyanOaks92 on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Yahoo, on the Snapchat. Back to what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by everyone else. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.